What happens on islands when no one's watching? When the last boat leaves and you're the only one left? The people in these stories thought they knew. They thought isolation meant safety. They were wrong. Tonight, we're exploring 3 terrifying encounters from the most remote places on Earth. Let's begin. The island that moves. I've been fishing these waters for 43 years. Started when I was 12 on my father's boat, took over when he passed, been out every season since. I know every current, every reef, every patch of deep water within 100 miles. There's an island about 60 miles off the coast that isn't on any map. The old-timers knew about it. My grandfather called it the Drifting Isle, said it moved, said you could sail past the same coordinates on different days and find nothing, then come back a week later and there it would be, sitting in the middle of the ocean like it had been there forever. I never believed him. Old men tell tall tales. That's what I told myself. Then I saw it. It was 3 years ago, late October. I was out alone, running a line of lobster pots about 50 miles out. Weather was turning, dark clouds building on the horizon, but I had time to pull the last few before heading in. That's when I noticed my compass was spinning, not drifting, spinning. Full circles, steady and slow, like it was chasing something it couldn't find. I tapped it, thinking it was broken. Didn't matter. I knew these waters. I didn't need a compass to find my way home. I pulled up the last pot, empty again, 3rd one in a row, which was strange, and turned the boat toward shore. That's when I saw it, an island, dead ahead, where there should have been nothing but open water for another 40 miles. I stopped the boat, just sat there, staring. It was big. Maybe 2 miles across, covered in dense forest, with cliffs rising sheer from the water on all sides. No beach, no gentle slope. Just walls of black rock rising straight up, with trees growing right to the edge. I'd never seen anything like it, and I'd been sailing these waters my whole life. I should have turned around. Every instinct was screaming at me to go back, to pretend I hadn't seen anything, to get home before the storm hit. But I didn't, because the island was calling to me. Not in words, something else. A pull, deep in my chest, like a rope tied around my heart, was being slowly reeled in. I couldn't explain it. I just knew I had to go closer. I motored toward it slowly, watching those cliffs grow taller and darker with every yard. The water around the island was strange. Glassy calm, even as the wind picked up and waves started building behind me. It was like the island existed in its own pocket of weather, separate from the rest of the world. I circled it once, looking for a place to land. Nothing. Just cliffs and more cliffs, rising straight out of the water, impossible to climb. Then I saw the opening. A crack in the rock, narrow, barely wide enough for my boat. Water flowing into it, disappearing into darkness. The pull in my chest got stronger. I didn't think. I just steered toward it and went in. The passage was dark, colder than it should have been. My boat scraped against rock on both sides, the sound echoing off walls I couldn't see. I crept forward, engine barely above idle, waiting for the passage to open up or close in completely. After maybe 5 minutes, it opened. A lagoon. Perfect circle, surrounded by those same sheer cliffs, with a beach of white sand curving along one edge. Trees crowded down to the sand, thick and green, with flowers I'd never seen before, blooming in colors that hurt to look at. I cut the engine, drifted in silence, and that's when I heard it. Music, faint, coming from somewhere in the trees. Not a song I recognized. Something older, something that made my skin crawl even as it pulled me toward it. I didn't want to go ashore. Every part of me was screaming to turn around, go back through that passage, get out while I still could. But my hands were already lowering the anchor. My legs were already climbing over the side into the shallow water. My feet were already walking up that white sand toward the trees. I couldn't stop myself. It was like watching someone else control my body. The music got louder as I entered the forest. The trees were wrong, too tall, too straight. Their bark was smooth, almost like skin, and when I touched one, it was warm. I walked deeper, The music was everywhere now, coming from all directions at once, and underneath it, I started hearing other sounds, whispers, voices, thousands of them, all speaking at once, none of them speaking words I could understand. The forest opened into a clearing. In the center, there was a stone, massive, black, twice as tall as a man, covered in carvings that seemed to shift when I wasn't looking directly at them. And around the stone, there were people, dozens of them, standing perfectly still, facing the stone, arranged in concentric circles. They weren't moving, weren't breathing, were just standing. I walked closer. One of them, a woman near the edge of the circle, turned her head slowly to look at me. Her eyes were open. She was blinking. She was alive. But she didn't speak, didn't move, just stared at me with an expression I couldn't read. I looked at the others. All of them, every person in that circle, slowly turned to face me. Dozens of eyes, watching, waiting. The music stopped. The whispers stopped. Everything stopped. And then, from behind the stone, a figure emerged. I can't describe it. Won't describe it. All I can say is that it was old. Older than the island. Older than the ocean. Older than anything has the right to be. It looked at me. Through me. Into parts of me I didn't know existed. And it spoke, not with words. With understanding. With knowledge that appeared in my mind fully formed like it had always been there. It showed me what the island was. A trap. A lure. A place that called to people who were lost, who were alone, who had something missing in their lives. It pulled them in, kept them here, added them to the circles around the stone. It showed me the people in the circles. Some had been here for decades, some for centuries. They weren't dead. They were waiting, but it didn't show me why. And then it showed me myself, standing in the circle, eyes open, waiting. I screamed, or tried to. No sound came out. The figure smiled, or at least did something like smiling. And then it reached out and touched my chest, right where that pulling feeling had been. And the pulling stopped. I could move again. I could think again. I could run. I ran. Back through the forest, past the wrong trees with their skin-like bark, down the white sand beach, into the water toward my boat. Behind me, the music started again. Louder. Faster. Angry. I climbed into the boat, started the engine, and drove it straight at the passage. Didn't care if I fit. Didn't care if I wrecked the boat. I just needed to get out. The passage was narrower than I remembered. My boat scraped and groaned, fiberglass grinding against rock, but I didn't slow down. I burst out into open water just as the storm hit, waves 20 feet high, wind screaming, rain so thick I couldn't see the bow of my own boat. I fought it for hours, thought I was going to die a dozen times, but I didn't die. I made it home. I told the Coast Guard about the island. They searched the coordinates I gave them, found nothing but open water. I went back myself, a week later. Same coordinates. Nothing. A month later, I tried again. Nothing. The island was gone, moved on, looking for its next victims. I still have dreams about that place, about the circle of waiting people, about the figure behind the stone, about what it showed me, myself, standing there, eyes open, waiting. And sometimes, late at night, I feel that pulling again, that rope around my heart, faint, but there, like the island hasn't forgotten me, like it's still calling. I don't go out alone anymore. Can't. Every time I'm on the water, I look toward the horizon and wonder if I'll see it again. That impossible island, that place that shouldn't exist. My grandfather told me about it. I didn't believe him. Now I know he was telling the truth. And I know something else too. Something he never told me. The people in that circle, the ones waiting, they're not waiting for release. They're waiting for someone to take their place. And the island is still out there, still moving, still calling. The Lighthouse Keepers. When my marriage fell apart, I needed to get away, not just from her, from everything, from people, from cities, from the constant noise of modern life. So when I saw the job posting for a lighthouse keeper on a remote island off the coast of Maine, I applied within an hour. The island is called Black Rock, 6 acres of granite and scrub grass, 40 miles from the mainland. No ferry, no regular supply runs, just me, the lighthouse, and the Atlantic Ocean in every direction. The previous keeper, an old guy named Connie, spent 2 weeks showing me the ropes before he retired. He was quiet, kept to himself, but he seemed normal enough. Told me about the generator, the radio, the monthly supply drop. Told me about the storms that could strand you for weeks. Told me to always keep the light on, no matter what. The only strange thing he said came on his last night. We were sitting in the kitchen, drinking coffee, listening to the wind batter the windows. Out of nowhere, he said, "You'll hear things out here, at night. Don't answer them." I asked what he meant. He just shook his head. "You'll know it when you hear it. Just don't answer, and whatever you do, don't open the door." He left the next morning. I've been alone here ever since. The first few weeks were fine, peaceful even. I read books, fixed up the old generator, watched storms roll in from the Atlantic. I'd see ships on the horizon sometimes, always too far away to signal. It didn't bother me. I wanted solitude. But then I started hearing the voices. It was around 3 in the morning, maybe a month in. I was in bed, half asleep, when I heard someone calling my name from outside. Not loud, just a whisper, but clear as day. "Daniel." I sat up, listened. Nothing, just the wind and the waves. I told myself it was my imagination. Being alone does things to your head. Everyone knows that. The next night, I heard it again. Louder this time. Closer. "Daniel, open the door." I didn't move, just lay there, heart pounding, staring at the door to my quarters. The voice kept calling, over and over. Same words, same tone. It never changed, never got impatient, just kept whispering my name like it had all the time in the world. After about an hour, it stopped. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. This went on for weeks. Every night, around the same time, the voice would start, calling my name, asking me to open the door. Sometimes it sounded like a friend, sometimes like an enemy, sometimes like a total stranger. I never answered, never opened the door, but it was wearing me down. I started sleeping during the day, staying awake all night with my back against the wall, waiting for the voice to start. Then, one night, it changed. I heard the voice, same as always, but this time, it wasn't alone. There were other voices with it, dozens of them, all whispering at once, all saying my name, all asking me to open the door. I covered my ears. Didn't help. The voices were inside my head now, not outside. That's when I heard something new. Footsteps. On the stairs leading up to my quarters. Slow, deliberate, one step at a time. I grabbed the flashlight, pointed it at the door, waited. The footsteps stopped right outside. The door handle turned, just a little, testing, then stopped. I didn't breathe, didn't move. Then, through the door, a voice said, "We know you're in there. We've always known." I don't remember the rest of that night. Just flashes, huddling in the corner, the handle turning over and over, the whispers never stopping. When dawn finally came, I forced myself to open the door. Empty, just the stairs leading down, the kitchen below, the lighthouse rising above. I checked the entire island, every inch. Nothing, no footprints, no signs of anyone. But on the rocks at the island's edge, I found something that made my blood run cold. Carved into the stone, in letters that looked ancient, were names, hundreds of them, stretching back decades, maybe centuries. Some were so worn I could barely read them, others were fresh, and at the bottom, near the waterline, freshly carved and still sharp to the touch, was mine, Daniel. 2024. I tried to call the Coast Guard that morning. The radio was dead, not broken, dead. No static, no signal, nothing, like something had drained the life out of it. The generator was dead too. The lights, everything electrical on the island had stopped working overnight. I was completely alone, completely trapped. I spent that day going through Connie's old records, found a journal he'd kept during his years on the island. Most of it was routine: weather logs, supply inventories, maintenance notes, but near the back, the entries changed. Month 36. The voices started last night. I didn't answer. I know better. Month 37. They're getting louder. Sometimes they sound like my daughter. I miss my daughter. Month 40. I saw one today, at the window, just for a second. It had my face. Month 48. The names on the rocks keep growing. I recognize some of them, men who served here before me. They're all here, waiting. The last entry was dated the day before he left. Month 60. I'm getting off this rock. The relief keeper is coming tomorrow. I didn't tell him about the voices. I didn't tell him about the faces at the window. I didn't tell him that once you hear them, they never stop, even after you leave. They follow you. They're always waiting. I hope he forgives me someday. I put the journal down, stared at the wall for a long time. That night, I didn't wait for the voices to start. I went outside, walked down to the rocks where the names were carved. The moon was full, bright enough to see clearly, and standing at the water's edge, facing out to sea, were figures, dozens of them, still as statues, all facing the same direction. I walked closer. One of them turned. It was Connie, old, tired, exactly as I remembered him, but his eyes were wrong, empty, like there was nothing behind them. He looked at me, opened his mouth, and from his throat came that voice, the one that had been calling me every night. Daniel. I backed away. Another figure turned, another keeper from the look of his clothes, older, maybe from the 1950s. He said my name too. One by one, they all turned. Dozens of faces, all different ages, all with those empty eyes, all whispering my name. I ran. Back to the lighthouse, up the stairs, into my quarters. Slammed the door, locked it, huddled in the corner. The voices didn't stop. They never stop. I've been here for 6 months now. According to my count, I think. I've lost track of time. The supply drops stopped coming after the second month. I've been living on canned food and rainwater. The voices are with me always now, even during the day. They whisper from every corner, every shadow. They show me things. Things I don't want to see. Things that will happen. Things that already have. I know what's waiting for me when I finally give up. I'll join them. The keepers on the rocks, standing forever, facing the sea, waiting for the next person to take my place. The island isn't haunted. It's a trap, a net cast into the ocean to catch lonely souls, and once you're caught, you never leave. My name is Daniel. If anyone finds this, if anyone reads these words, I have only one thing to say. Don't take the job. Don't come to this island. And whatever you do, don't answer the door. They're here now, outside, calling. I won't answer, but I don't know how much longer I can hold out. The face in the water. I've spent my whole life outdoors, grew up camping, hunting, fishing, spent summers in places most people only see in magazines. I thought I knew the wilderness. I thought I knew what fear felt like. I was wrong. This happened about 5 years ago. A friend of mine, Kevin, invited me to his family's cabin in northern Minnesota. Not the kind of cabin you're thinking. This wasn't a weekend getaway with running water and electricity. This was remote, genuinely remote. The cabin sat on an island in Vermilion Lake. To get there, you had to park on the mainland, load all your gear into a boat, and cross about half a mile of open water. The nearest other cabin was at least a quarter mile away through dense forest. The nearest town was 45 minutes by boat, then another hour by car. Kevin had been going there his whole life. His dad built the place in the 80s. He knew every inch of that island, every trail, every hiding spot. He said nothing ever happened there, nothing ever went wrong. That's what he kept telling me as we loaded the boat. It's peaceful, he said. You'll sleep like a baby. I believed him. We got to the island around 4 p.m. late September, so the sun was already starting to drop. The cabin was small, One level, 2 bedrooms next to each other, a combined kitchen and living room, and a bathroom in the back. Nothing fancy, but solid. The kind of place that's been standing for decades and will stand for decades more. The windows had no curtains. Kevin's dad liked it that way, said you could see the lake from anywhere in the cabin. I didn't think much of it at first. It was still daylight. The view was beautiful. We spent the evening like you'd expect. Built a fire, cooked dinner, drank some beer, sat on the dock and watched the stars come out. There's no light pollution up there. The sky looks like someone spilled glitter across black velvet. Around 10 p.m., we were sitting on the dock when we heard a splash. Not a fish jumping, something else, something heavy. We both turned toward the sound. The moon was bright that night, thank God, because otherwise we wouldn't have seen anything at all. And what we saw... Kevin's friend Ryan pointed. "What the hell is that?" Out in the water, maybe 70 yards from the dock, there was something floating. It looked like a head, just a head, bobbing in the water, facing us. I stared at it for a long moment. Couldn't make out features, just dark hair, pale skin, and the sense that it was looking right at us. I said, "It's a loon. They hunt at night, dive under, come back up." Kevin nodded. "Yeah, probably a loon." But neither of us moved. We just kept staring at that thing in the water, and it kept staring back. Not moving, not drifting, just floating, watching. After a few minutes, we went back to the fire, tried to forget about it. But every few minutes, one of us would glance toward the lake. It was still there, closer now. I could see its face, pale, too pale, like skin that never saw sunlight. The eyes were dark holes. The mouth was a thin line. Kevin said, "Let's go inside." We went inside, locked the door. Not that it mattered. The door was just wood and a simple latch, but it made us feel better. We sat in the living room, pretending to talk, pretending to drink, but all of us kept looking toward the windows, the ones with no curtains, the ones that faced the lake. Around midnight, Kevin's other friend, Tommy, said he was going to bed. Ryan went to the other bedroom. Kevin and I stayed up a while longer, but eventually we crashed too. Kevin in his bed, me on the couch in the living room. I don't know how long I slept. Could have been an hour, could have been 3, but I woke up suddenly and I knew immediately that something was wrong. Not a sound, not a movement, just that primal feeling, the one that says you're being watched. I lay there on the couch, completely still, staring at the dark ceiling, listening. At first, nothing. Just the normal night sounds. Wind in the trees, water lapping against the shore. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Outside. At the bottom of the stairs leading up to the cabin. Pacing back and forth like someone trying to decide what to do. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Just laid there, heart pounding, waiting. The footsteps stopped. Then I heard them start up the stairs. 1 step, 2, 3. Then they stopped again, right outside the door. I could see the door from where I lay. Dark wood, old latch, not much between me and whatever was out there. A long moment passed. Then I heard the footsteps turn and run. Fast. Down the stairs, along the path, disappearing into the woods. I stayed frozen for another minute. Then I heard movement from the bedrooms. Ryan came out first, his face pale. He said, "We need to leave, now." Kevin came out behind him. "What? Why?" Ryan's voice was shaking. He said, "I was turning over in bed, trying to get comfortable. And I looked at the window, at the top corner. There was someone looking in, one eye, pale skin, black hair. It looked at me, and then it dropped out of sight." We all stared at him. He said, "I'm not kidding. Let's go. Let's fucking go." We didn't argue. We grabbed our stuff, threw it in bags, ran out the door, and down the stairs. In the dirt around the cabin, we saw footprints, bare feet, too many of them, circling the cabin, leading to every window. We ran to the boat, threw our gear in, untied it, and sped across the lake. None of us looked back. None of us spoke. When we got to the car, we loaded up and drove. 10 miles, 20. Then Ryan broke down, started sobbing in the back seat. "What was that?" he kept saying. "What did I see? What was looking at me?" We didn't have answers. We still don't. Kevin's dad went back to the cabin that weekend. He said the footprints were still there, said it bothered him knowing someone had been walking around his property at night, but he didn't see anything else. Ryan had trouble sleeping for months after that, needed counseling, needed medication. He's better now, but he doesn't sleep next to windows anymore. Neither do I. I've thought about that night a lot over the years. The thing in the water, the face at the window, the footsteps running away. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was one thing or multiple things. I don't know if it was human or something else. But I know this, that island is remote. Really remote. The kind of place where you can go days without seeing another person. The kind of place where if something happens, no one hears you scream. And I know that remoteness works both ways. It keeps people out, but it also keeps things in. Things that watch from the water, things that peer through windows, things that wait until you're alone, and then they come close enough to let you know they're there. I haven't been back to that cabin. Kevin goes sometimes. Says nothing's happened since. Says it's peaceful. I don't believe in peaceful anymore. I believe in locked doors. I believe in curtains. I believe in being somewhere that help can reach you in minutes, not hours. Because out there, in those remote places, you're not alone. You never were. The world is full of mysteries. Islands that appear and disappear. Lighthouses that trap the living. Shores where something is waiting for you. The 3 people in these stories survived to tell their tales, but they'll never be the same. Which story made your skin crawl the most? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you want more true horror, the kind that could happen to anyone who ventures too far from shore, hit that follow button. I'll be here every week with new stories. Until then, watch the horizon, trust your instincts, and never ignore an island that isn't on the map. Stay safe.